Hey everyone, and welcome to this deep dive all about becoming the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
Leveling up in all areas of life. We've got a source here that's packed with practical steps
Oh, yeah.
and mindset shifts
Absolutely.
to help us unlock some serious potential. So are you ready to dive in?
I am so ready.
Okay, great. So, one thing that really jumped out at me from this source is that personal growth, it's not just about setting goals and kind of hoping for the best.
No.
It's about really understanding ourselves first.
Absolutely. It's like you need a blueprint.
Yeah.
Before you build a house, you need to know what you're building.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that analogy.
Yeah.
This blueprint for our lives. So where do we even begin with this?
Well, the source really emphasizes self-reflection.
Okay.
That's the foundation.
Right.
It's all about really looking inward and understanding your strengths, weaknesses, your values, what makes you, well, you.
Okay, so that makes sense. But, those are kind of big concepts, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do we actually go about doing that? Does the source offer any, practical tools or methods for self-reflection?
It does, yeah. It suggests things like journaling or meditation as tools for that kind of deep self-discovery.
Okay, journaling and meditation, those aren't exactly new concepts, right?
Yeah.
But I'm curious, does the source go beyond just suggesting these practices? Does it actually explain why they're so important for personal growth?
Yeah, it really emphasizes that these practices can help us uncover those hidden patterns in our behavior.
Oh, interesting.
Both the positive ones and the negative ones, so why we react to situations in certain ways, why we gravitate towards certain goals. It's kind of like shining a light on those subconscious forces that are shaping our choices.
So it's not just about venting in a journal.
No.
Or just zoning out during meditation. It's about actively using these practices to gain insights about ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's such a crucial point. It's about really leveraging these practices for a deeper understanding.
Yeah.
And once you have that better understanding of yourself, then you can move on to the next step.
Okay, so then what's next?
Goal setting.
Okay, so we've reflected. We've kind of had some aha moments about ourselves. Now it's time to get specific with what we want to achieve.
Exactly. You got it.
Okay, but I think everybody sets goals.
Yeah. Right.
And often those goals, they kind of fizzle out.
Yes.
What's the secret sauce here for actually making those goals happen?
So this is where the source gets really tactical and talks about SMART goals.
SMART goals.
Yeah.
I've definitely heard that acronym before, but I always struggle to remember what it actually stands for.
Oh, I know. Me too.
Can you remind me?
Yes. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Okay.
So it's really a framework to set goals that are clear and actionable.
Okay, I see how that's way more helpful than just saying, I want to be happier.
Exactly.
But can you give me an example of how we actually apply this SMART framework?
Sure. Let's say, for example, one of your goals is to feel more confident in social situations.
Okay.
Instead of just leaving it at that, a SMART goal would be something like, I will attend one social gathering per week for the next 3 months.
Got it.
And initiate at least 2 conversations at each gathering.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that breaks it down. So it's specific, it's measurable. Like you can measure how many gatherings you attend, how many conversations you initiate.
Exactly.
It's achievable. It's relevant to your overall goal of feeling more confident.
Yes.
And you have that time frame.
Exactly.
Okay. That's incredibly helpful.
It takes away the guesswork and gives you that tangible plan.
Yeah, I love that. So we've reflected on our current selves. We've figured out kind of what makes us tick. We've set some killer SMART goals. What's next? How do we actually turn these goals into reality?
So that's where the power of habits comes in.
Okay.
The source argues that consistent actions, even small ones, are the building blocks of lasting change.
So we're talking about establishing routines that support our goals.
Exactly. And it really stresses that it's not about making these drastic changes overnight.
Okay.
Which can feel totally overwhelming and unsustainable.
Yep. That makes
It's
sense.
more about those small daily habits
Right.
that can gradually move you towards those goals.
Okay. So instead of trying to become a marathon runner overnight, maybe the first step is just committing to a 10-minute walk each day.
Precisely. Or if your goal is to read more, instead of aiming for a book a week, start with 10 pages a day.
Right.
It's about that foundation of consistency.
Consistency is key. Okay, but does the source actually delve into like the science behind habit formation at all? Like, why is it so difficult to stick to new habits?
It does. It talks about how our brains are actually wired to resist change.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's that survival mechanism.
Right.
So when we try to introduce these new habits,
Yeah.
we're kind of fighting against our own neurobiology.
Interesting.
But the good news is there are actually strategies we can use to work with our brains, not against them.
So how do we actually do that?
Yeah.
Like, does the source offer any practical tips?
It does, yeah. It suggests things like habit stacking and temptation bundling.
Habit stacking and temptation bundling.
Yeah.
I have to admit, those sound kind of intriguing.
They're fun.
What are they all about?
Okay, so habit stacking is all about linking a new habit to an existing one. So for example, if you want to start meditating every morning, maybe you stack it with your existing habit of brushing your teeth. So, like, you meditate for 5 minutes immediately after you brush your teeth.
Oh, so you're just, like, piggybacking on an established routine to kind of make that new habit easier to adopt.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then temptation bundling is pairing something you enjoy with something you need to do.
Got it.
But might resist. So maybe you only allow yourself to listen to your favorite podcasts while you're exercising.
So you're making the habit-forming process less about willpower?
Yes.
And more about strategic planning.
Exactly.
I like that. Okay, so what else?
Well, it also goes on to say that it's important to track your progress.
Okay.
Because seeing those small wins can be really motivating.
Yes, absolutely.
So whether it's an app or a journal or just a simple calendar, visually tracking your progress can be really powerful.
I love that. Okay, so we've covered self-reflection, setting smart goals, and building those all-important habits. We're like starting to build a solid foundation here.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling there's more to this blueprint, right?
Oh, there's so much more.
What's next on this roadmap?
Well, we've talked about the external actions, but now it's time to go inward.
Okay.
It's time to dive into the world of mindset. Okay, so welcome back to our depth dive.
Yes.
We've been talking all about, laying the groundwork for personal growth, self-reflection, smart goals, those habits.
Yeah.
Now it's time to go inward into the world of mindset.
Mindset, it's so easy to underestimate the importance of mindset.
Yeah.
It's like this intangible force that can either propel us forward or hold us back.
It really is.
But this source seems to suggest it's like a crucial piece of the puzzle.
It is. It's like a cornerstone. This source really emphasizes cultivating a positive mindset. And, it's not just about thinking happy thoughts all the time, right? It's more about developing a resilient outlook that allows you to navigate the challenges, the inevitable setbacks with grace and determination.
So how do we actually do that? Like, does the source get into specifics about how we actually cultivate this kind of mindset?
It does, yeah. It suggests a few practical strategies.
Okay.
One that stood out to me was the idea of curating your environment.
Oh, interesting.
So that means, surrounding yourself with people who uplift you and inspire you. Content that fuels your growth. Even creating physical spaces that promote peace and productivity.
So it's like being intentional about what we allow into our lives.
Yes.
The people we spend time with, the books we read, the podcasts we listen to.
Yes.
Even just the way we decorate our homes and workspaces.
It all matters.
It's like designing an environment that supports our growth rather than hinders it.
Exactly. Our environment really has a profound impact on how we think, how we feel, how we behave.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. But let's be honest, life is not always sunshine and rainbows. We all face challenges, we have setbacks, even failures.
Of course, yeah.
How does this source suggest we navigate those inevitable bumps in the road?
So that's where the idea of reframing comes in. The source kind of encourages us to view challenges not so much as setbacks, but as opportunities for learning and growth.
Right.
It's really about shifting our perspective and asking ourselves, what can I learn from this experience?
Yeah.
How can I use this to become stronger, more resilient?
It's like turning lemons into lemonade, right?
Exactly.
But sometimes, it's really hard to see the opportunity
absolutely.
in the midst of a really difficult situation.
Yeah.
any tips for how we can actually reframe those negative experiences?
Yeah, so the source suggests a few techniques like journaling, practicing gratitude,
Okay.
maybe even talking to a therapist or a counselor
Yeah.
to help process those difficult emotions.
Yeah.
It's about acknowledging those feelings, but not letting them consume you.
So it's not about denying or suppressing those negative emotions.
Right, no.
It's about finding healthy ways to process them
Exactly.
and extract those valuable lessons.
And alongside reframing, it also stresses the importance of self-compassion. So that means treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a close friend going through a tough time.
Yeah, it's so easy to be hard on ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when things aren't going our way.
Of course.
So that reminder to actually practice self-compassion, I think, is super powerful.
Absolutely. And, speaking of treating ourselves with kindness, the source also highlights the importance of actually investing in our personal growth. And I don't just mean financially,
right,
but also in terms of our time and energy.
So we've covered self-awareness, setting goals, building habits, cultivating a positive mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're talking about actively investing in our growth.
Mm-hmm.
What does that actually look like in practice?
It means making those conscious choices that support your development.
Go.
Intellectually, emotionally, creatively, even spiritually.
So it could involve things like...
Yeah, taking courses, attending workshops, reading books, listening to podcasts, seeking out a mentor, maybe even traveling to new places, getting exposed to different cultures.
So essentially it's about becoming lifelong learners.
Exactly.
Constantly seeking out new knowledge, experiences, and perspectives.
Yes. And it can be a little overwhelming, too.
Yeah, for sure.
With all the options out there. So how do you even decide where to invest your time and energy?
Yeah, that's a good question. Does the source offer any guidance on that?
Yeah, it suggests starting with your goals and your values.
Okay.
So, asking yourself, what skills or knowledge would help me achieve my goals?
Right.
What experiences would align with my values and bring me a sense of fulfillment?
So if your goal is to become a more effective communicator, you might invest in a public speaking course or join a Postmasters club.
Exactly.
And if you value creativity, you might, I don't know, take a writing workshop or explore a new art form or something.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be a big, expensive commitment.
Right.
Sometimes it's just as simple as carving out an hour each week to read or listen to an educational podcast.
I love that. It's about making those small, consistent investments that compound over time, kind of like those small, consistent habits that we were talking about earlier.
Exactly.
And as we continue to invest in our growth, we also need to take care of our physical and mental health, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The source really highlights the interconnectedness of our physical and mental well-being.
Right.
It's so essential for, sustained growth.
So it's not just about, hitting the gym or meditating. It's about a more holistic approach to health.
Absolutely. It's about nourishing our bodies with good food, moving our bodies regularly, getting enough sleep, managing our stress, and seeking professional help when needed.
So it's about creating a lifestyle
that
supports our well-being, so we have that energy and that focus and that resilience to pursue those goals and really embrace that journey.
Perfectly put. And, speaking of embracing the journey, the source also emphasizes nurturing our relationships.
Because personal growth isn't a solitary pursuit.
Right.
We need others to support us, challenge us, and celebrate our successes.
Exactly. The source talks about building strong, supportive relationships with people who uplift you, who inspire you.
Okay, so we've talked about, surrounding ourselves with positive people, but realistically, not all relationships are created equal.
Right.
How do we navigate those more challenging relationships, the ones that might be draining our energy or holding us back?
That's where setting boundaries comes in.
Okay.
It encourages us to be really mindful of the energy we allow into our lives.
So it's about learning to say no to things that don't serve us, to create space for the things that do.
Exactly. And it can also involve having those honest conversations with people who might be negatively impacting us, setting clear expectations, and even being willing to, distance ourselves from those who consistently disregard those boundaries.
That can be a really difficult conversation to have.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with people we care about. Does the source offer any guidance on, how to approach those conversations in a constructive way?
Yeah, it emphasizes communication. communicating your needs with clarity and compassion, focusing on, how their actions are impacting you, and ultimately, being willing to walk away. If those boundaries are consistently violated, it's about prioritizing your well-being while still respecting the other person.
That's such an important reminder. We can't control other people's behavior.
Right.
But we can control how we respond to it.
Exactly.
And how we choose to protect our own energy.
Exactly. And, as we cultivate these supportive relationships, set healthy boundaries, we also need to remember personal growth, it's a process, it's ongoing. It's not about reaching a destination,
So it's not a one-time transformation. It's like a series of continuous evolutions.
Yeah.
We're always growing. We're always learning.
Yes.
We're always becoming.
It's about embracing that journey.
So how do we actually stay committed to this lifelong journey of personal growth?
Yeah.
Like, does the source offer any tips on staying motivated and inspired?
So welcome back to our final part of this deep dive into this amazing source all about personal growth.
As we've been unpacking all these steps and strategies, it really strikes me how interconnected it all is.
Right.
It's not just a checklist of things to do.
Yeah.
It's more like weaving a tapestry, right?
I love that analogy.
Like each thread contributes to that overall beauty and strength of that final piece.
The source really does emphasize this holistic approach to personal growth.
Okay, so it's not enough to just set goals or build habits in isolation. It's about how all of these elements work together to create like a life of purpose and fulfillment.
Exactly. And one of the key threads that I noticed throughout the source was this idea of taking ownership of our growth.
Yeah.
It's not something that just happens to us passively. It's something we actively choose and cultivate.
It's like that saying, the only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. Right.
Hey, I love that. That's so true. Yeah. And that sense of agency is so empowering. Yeah. Because it means that no matter where we are in life, we have the power to change, to grow, to evolve.
Yeah. But that can also feel daunting.
Absolutely.
It's easy to get overwhelmed with all the information out there, all the different paths we could take.
Right.
So, like, how do we navigate this vast landscape of personal growth without, getting lost in the weeds?
So the source emphasizes the importance of defining success on your own terms. Right. It's not about comparing yourself to others or chasing these external markers of achievement, It's more about clarifying your values. Okay. Identifying what truly matters to you.
I see.
And then creating a vision for your life that is truly aligned with your aspirations.
So it's about like tuning out the noise.
Yes.
And really getting clear on what we want our lives to look like, feel like, even be like.
Exactly.
It's about creating that like internal compass.
Yes, exactly. And that compass needs to be rooted in self-awareness.
Okay.
The source reminds us to regularly check in with ourselves. Reflect on our progress, celebrate those wins, and course correct when we need to.
Right.
It's about cultivating that deep understanding of our strengths and weaknesses, our values. Yeah. So we can make choices that are really aligned with our truest selves.
So it's about becoming our own, like, best coach.
Yeah.
Our own biggest cheerleader, but also our own most honest critic. Being able to, like, step back and assess our progress with, like, compassion, but also objectivity.
And that's where those practices like journaling and meditation can be so powerful because they give you that space to quiet the external noise and really connect with your inner wisdom.
Yeah, I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious, what's the most impactful takeaway for you?
Oh, that's a great question.
Like, what's the one nugget of wisdom that you'll like carry with you from this exploration?
I think for me, it's this idea that personal growth is not a destination. It's a process. It's this continuous unfolding.
Right.
It's about embracing the journey with all of its twists and turns, its triumphs and its setbacks.
Yeah.
Recognizing that we're all works in progress, constantly evolving.
Absolutely, yeah. And speaking of the journey, what's one question that you think our listeners should like ponder as they continue on their own path of personal growth, like something to spark their curiosity and keep them exploring?
Oh, this source has given us so much to think about.
I know, it's so good.
But if I had to leave our listeners with one question, it would be this. What small step can you take today to move closer to the person you want to become?
I love that.
It doesn't have to be this monumental leap, you know?
Right.
It could be something as simple as reading an inspiring article, trying a new healthy recipe, reaching out to a friend you haven't talked to in a while, or just taking 5 minutes to practice gratitude.
Yeah.
Every step counts, no matter how small.
Such a powerful reminder.
Yeah.
It's about taking action consistently.
Yes.
Even when it feels challenging or uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And celebrating those small wins along the way.
Yeah.
Knowing that they are those building blocks.
Exactly.
For a life of purpose and fulfillment.
Personal growth is not about perfection. It's about progress. You know, it's about showing up for yourself each day.
Yeah.
With a commitment to learn, to grow, to become the best version of yourself.
Well said. And with that, we wrap up our deep dive into this incredible source on personal growth.
Yeah.
Hopefully this exploration has given you some valuable insights and some actionable strategies to kind of embark on your own journey of self-discovery and transformation.
Yes.
Remember, you have the power within you.
Absolutely.
To create a life that is aligned with your values, your passions, and your own unique definition of success.
Yes.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.
See you next time.